public hearing on Redlands Unified School District's 2026-2027 Education Protection Account EPA requirements. Is there anybody here that would like to speak about this? Nope. Okay, the hearing is now closed. We're going to have community input for agendized items. The Board of Education values the perspectives and participation of our community members. Public comment provides an important opportunity for individuals to share their views on district matters. The board encourages comments, feedback, and input from all voices in the community, including those who may have differing opinions and perspectives. The California Office of the Attorney General asked us to share that in their view, matters pertaining to specific identifiable students or any group of students should remain private to the extent possible. If you have a complaint about an employee or student matter, please utilize the appropriate complaint procedure. Contact Dr. Rudy Wilson, Assistant Superintendent of Compliance, who can assist you with filing any such complaint. As a reminder, not all speech is free from consequences, and since this is the board's meeting in public, where minors may be present, we encourage all participants to conduct themselves in a civilized, non-threatening manner. Thank you for your cooperation and for contributing to a civil and student-focused discussion. Members of the public may address the board on matters within its jurisdiction by submitting a completed registration card to the clerk or designated staff member prior to the start of public comments on agendized items. When called, speakers may proceed to the podium, state their name and trustee area, and speak for the allotted time. The amount of time will be announced by the board president before the first speaker begins and will not exceed 3 minutes. Consuelo, how many speakers do we have?
We have one with 3 items.
All right, you get 3 minutes.
Greg Brittain.
Welcome, Greg.
Thank you. One speaker, what the heck is going on here?
It's summer.
The LCAP stuff was, I think, almost emblematic of what's going on in the schools. Is the state imposes these statutory requirements, you prepare reports, you conduct surveys, but does any of that lead to improvement of results? The last meeting, there was a question about whether you were going to extend and continue the YMCA as a provider, and apparently there was dissatisfaction within the board with the services that they have been providing. But based on the agenda for tonight, it looks like they're going to get a social promotion, and notwithstanding their poor performance, they're going to get their contract renewed. And the same kind of thing is happening with the schools, that we see year after year declining academic performance. We see, and I've brought it up before, that only 3% of students, of high school seniors, can pass the citizenship test, which is a pretty easy test. The polling data shows that younger you are, the less you either love the country and the more you dislike the country. The more recent students in high school and in college. Now, certainly, when you get to somebody who's 18 or 20, their academic abilities, their attitudes, their outlook on life, their work ethic, all those kind of things are not just the schools. They're the parents and the students themselves. But you guys get the kids for a huge block of time. And you get a lot of money for it. Since 1980, after adjusting for inflation, per student spending has increased by 154%. Has education improved significantly or at all over that time? Well, all the indications would say no. I'm going to talk about later in some of my remarks is that the employers don't want to hire young people. They'd rather pay more to hire an older worker they think is more reliable and has a better work ethic than younger workers. And again, that's not totally you guys, but it's part of it. Where are they first learning a work ethic? A lot of it is in school. So you go through the statutory procedures, and you have to do that, but that's not a substitute for progress in doing the things that you're really supposed to be doing, of academics, preparing them to be citizens, and transmitting the history and culture of the country on to succeeding generations. Briefly on 12E, asking for a tax increase. Not a big deal, but not a big amount.
Thank you.
But you are getting plenty of money, and you don't deserve or need more money. The issue is not more money. It's better managing what you do have. In the private sector, it's not about turning in reports. It's about the results you do. Do you provide the services or products that your customers will voluntarily continue purchasing? 13A. I am very concerned, not only is the schools trying to do, and not doing a very good job of it, of the academics, as the test scores and all the data that we've talked about, here I have and many others have. Now you want to take on an even more complex and difficult task of mental health, when you can't do the easier stuff very well. It also opens up a tremendous opportunity to improperly influence the children in indoctrinating them and how they think, how they feel about things. There was some discussion on this when this came up before when I was here about whether the parents are going to be notified, and whether if there's not going to be notified, is that going to be brought to the superintendents or the principals or both attention to make sure that exemption is really justified and we're cutting the parents out of what's happening with their children, because they're the ones that are primarily responsible for their children. You guys, we hire you guys to try to help in the process of raising and educating the children. So I would ask you to keep a very close eye on that if you go down that path at all. I've talked about discipline before. And, of course, the descriptions of the discipline is there's no way that staff or other students, parents, members of the community could evaluate whether the students are being appropriately disciplined for what they actually did compared to other students. But one case that particularly caught my attention in this agenda is there's a student who was expulsion. Of course, it's not expulsion, it's a suspension at best. They made terroristic threats to staff or property. And the punishment or the consequences for that is expulsion for the rest of the second semester of 25-26, the one that's over now. And a suspended, quote-unquote, expulsion for the first semester of 26-27. So what you've taught that student is there are no consequences to his or her bad behavior. So not only do you're not serving the students that are behaving and trying to get an education, and staff is trying to help them get an education, you are not serving, you're ill-serving the misbehaving student by teaching them that you can get away with bad behavior. Because eventually, if that continues, they're going to run into the long arm of the law, and they're going to find out that there are consequences to bad behavior. And it's far better to teach the lesson earlier in the process. And that is all I have on agenda items.
Thank you, Greg. Is that it? Mm-hmm. Thank you.